Man, you got to figure out how to collapse time, collapse the learning curve. Because the thing is if you're trying to go by trial and error and just do it by brute force, it's going to take you years, if not decades. If you want to shortcut those decades, find the people that have already put the decades in, find a mentor, find somebody that's going to show you the way, show you the path. That way you can just dive right into a working model and plug that in and run with it.
What's up, everybody? It's Jamel Gibbs. Welcome to another podcast episode. This is the Business and Investing Podcast, where you learn all things business and investing related. Today, we're going to have a real estate discussion, specifically talking about virtual investing. You guys know that I'm a big fan of buying properties all across the country. On my YouTube page, if you watch any of my YouTube content, you'll see that we do a ton of virtual investing. And the reason why we do that is because it allows us to expand our markets. But more importantly, it allows us the time and the freedom that we're looking for in our real estate investing business. So we can virtually operate a real estate investing business without having to be in the market and still make a ton of money doing it. And ultimately, you guys know how I feel about passive income as well. I believe that wholesaling is a tool that allows you to build up the capital that you need in order to create more passive income streams to be able to live that true time and freedom lifestyle that you want, and to be able to provide your family with the time and freedom that they need as well. And our special guest today is the epitome of just that. This guy is from Idaho, but he's currently traveling. He's been traveling for a little over a year at this point. And while he's traveling, literally traveling with his family, he's doing virtual deals all across the country. So I wanted to bring him on today. I met him recently, not so long ago. He actually had me on his podcast, and I needed to get him on this podcast because I believe that you guys are going to benefit from this conversation. Here's a family-oriented guy as well, who's crushing it in real estate. And we're going to show you today how you can get started investing in real estate virtually while using Facebook and having a small marketing budget, if any, at that. Kyle Rodgers, what's up, man?
Heck yeah, thanks for having me on, Jamal. I'm pumped. I'm excited for you having me here, man. It's going to be good stuff. I'm going to drop some bombs about full organic. This is getting deals direct to seller leads without spending a dime.
That's what I'm talking about, bro. So listen, why don't you tell everybody a little bit about yourself? I see that you're in your car right now. Obviously, you're traveling. Why don't you tell everybody what you're up to, man?
Yeah, absolutely. This is my Jeep Rubicon that I'm sitting in, and I call it my mobile office because the wife and my two kids and two girls are in the Class A motorhome, and that's where they get their space, and I get my space over here in the Jeep. And it's a wonderful thing, man. We've been traveling for the last year in our motorhome and towing the Jeep and going all across the United States and just having a wonderful adventure. Right now, I'm in a RV park in Panama City Beach, Florida, and we're literally walking distance from the beach over there. So I'd spend all day with the beach and taking out the family and just having a good time and doing virtual deals along the way.
Yeah, that's pretty dope, man. Let me tell you this. I admire that because that's actually on my bucket list. If you want to call it a thing that's on the bucket list, that's actually on my personal list to be able to drive the entire country, visit state to state. I know we want to explore the world, but there's so much just within this country that we could see as well. And I've been to multiple states, but I haven't been to every state, and I actually want to experience driving off. Well, you can't drive to Hawaii, but drive the 49 states, and then, obviously visit the 50th state as well, man. So that's one of my goals, to be able to do it, man. So how are you doing that while operating your real estate business, man?
Man, I'll tell you what, it's a different experience to be able to drive it versus flying it. Cause I've flew to a lot of places, and, it's different because you get to see the landscape change, and you get to see just so many, such diverse territories as you're driving through, and you get this immersive travel experience when you're living there. and you're going to the local places and you're talking to the local people. And it's so much fun. It's so different.
Yeah, you got a lot of diversity in America, huh?
Oh yeah. And it just there's different places where you go around and you see a lot of the culture expressed through food. And I'm a big foodie, so I like to go around and try the different plates and the things that are popular in each location. And you have some areas where they're a little bit more reserved, and other areas like down south where they just treat you like family. And it is just real cool to see all that. And this isn't the first time we traveled full time either. We settled down and we were living on the Oregon coast for about a year before we started traveling again, because we had our newest, baby Genevieve, baby G, as we call her, and she's 2 now. But before we had her, we were living in Europe for 6 months. Because once I figured out this Facebook group marketing thing, and once I figured out how to go virtual, we sold everything we had. My oldest daughter, she was 4 at the time. We sold everything we had, fit the rest of what we had into backpacks, flew across the world, and landed in Rome, Italy. Went up to Florence and Turin and Venice. Then we were over in Prague in the Czech Republic. Then we were over in Croatia. Then we were in France, St. Tropez and Paris, and just doing deals over in the U.S. along the way. And the thing that I realized is that you don't have to do deals in your backyard. A lot of people think that they have to do deals in their backyard, and you don't. You can go where the market's good, as long as you have your team in place. You have local experts that you can get advice on and get feedback on properties, and you have boots on the ground. Then you're set. Everything that you do right now in your local market, you can do in virtual markets, and it's all the same process.
That's right, man. So before we jump into the meat, man, let's talk about how you got started in real estate in the first place. How long have you been doing this?
I've been doing it for 4 years. And when I started, I was just looking for something more, because I've been in sales and direct marketing for over a decade now. 100% of that was commission based. I haven't made a wage since before I can remember. And, I've always just been passionate about commission based sales. And a lot of my sales career was with direct TV, selling satellite TV. Man, I would go door to door, knocking on doors. I'd go to fairs and trade shows and events. And I rose through the ranks with DirecTV and became number 7 top salesperson in the nation with them. And I actually got a plaque and everything, and won a cruise. As the first time I really got to travel, is I won a cruise with them, and doing door to door. I also won a trip to Orlando, Florida, and was getting these as incentives. But as much fun as I was having, I was capping out. Even though I was one of the top reps in the nation, I still couldn't make past $35,000. And it was very seasonal, that job too. So I was just looking for something more. I'm like, what is something that I can sell that's going to get me the biggest paycheck? Real estate. That's immediately what I thought about. I'm like, man, it's real estate. But I wasn't attracted to being an agent or being a broker or anything like that. I was immediately drawn to the real estate investing side, flipping houses and stuff like that. So I dove in and I got my YouTube education. And there's people like you that are just putting out value for free. You can get a full education off of your channel and other channels that are out there. So, I just dove deep in that and learned all kinds of good stuff, which allowed me to burn the ship. I quit my job at DirecTV and I went all in. I went 100% into real estate investing. But the problem was I was learning too much. I was learning all these different strategies, and I was kind of just running around in circles and beating my head against the wall for the first couple months, not getting a deal. So I realized very quickly
analysis paralysis.
Yeah, exactly. And just not knowing what direction to go all in on. And so I found a mentor. I found somebody that I could work with as an acquisition manager, and it was commission based with him too. But he was paying me at a draw. It was $600 a week. That was a draw on future commissions. And then whatever he spent on advertising was also going to be taken out of the profitability of the market. And then that was accounted in my commission. So I had to pay for part of the advertising too. But I was started grinding really hard with him. He helped pay for courses and mentorships for me, and he started paying for direct mail. $10,000 a month he was dumping into direct mail. We went 4 months. $40,000 later, big goose egg. Didn't get a single deal from that. Man, I remember that feeling because I was working 80-hour weeks and busting my butt and just devastated at the end of it that we spent that much money and didn't get a return. I was just sitting there with my head in my hands, ready to walk away forever.
Got you.
But then a light bulb went off. I'm like, you know what? Luckily, I found a few deals during that we did direct mail for 4 months, but I worked with him for 6 months. And we did find a few deals. So it was enough for me to put a little bit of money in my pocket at least, probably making less than minimum wage, but I put some money in my pocket. And that's when the light bulb went off. I'm like, how did I find those deals? And I reverse engineered it. It's all from online marketing, Craigslist, but mostly Facebook groups. So Facebook groups is really what I started laser focus on. And I'm like, what if I was to ditch all of this old school marketing and this guerrilla type marketing, and I was to go 100% into what worked for me, which was in Facebook groups.
Yeah.
And when I did that, everything changed. It was like the floodgates opened up. I had tons of leads coming in. I didn't have to spend anything for that advertising. In fact, I was overwhelmed with the response. And it was like a faucet that I could turn on when I needed leads and turn off at will. And it changed everything for me.
Yeah, man. I'll say this, first off, there's a lot of hot buttons that you pressed right there. So you mentioned door-to-door sales. To me, when you have a job doing door-to-door sales, those become some of the most successful people ever. That's in my humblest opinion. I sort of had a door-to-door sales type of thing as well. I sold newspapers though. It's different. When I was a kid. Yeah. But then you get into the real door-to-door sales where you're actually convincing people to spend some money at the door. I mean, if you can do that, you can pretty much do anything. So my equivalent to that was when I was down on Wall Street and I had to call up people worth $100 million to invest into a company they never heard of. Right. So it was this kind of the same thing. I was 19 years old, 20 years old. That's kind of where I got my sales skills from. And then eventually got into real estate after 9/11. But then you hit a couple of hot buttons. You had a mentor. You invested into your education. You invested into marketing. You tested to see what worked, what didn't work. And you finally came across something that worked, that allowed you to change your circumstances to take you from where you were to where you are today. So let's talk about that, man. Was it an easy transition at all?
Yeah, for me, it was kind of like beating my head against the wall for 6 months straight. But then once I decided to laser focus and go all in on a strategy that worked, then it all turned around. Like it was easy after that. And then I also realized that I didn't have to stay in the market that I was in. I grew up in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, but I moved over to Portland, Oregon, and that's the market that I was working in. And man, that was a tough market back then. And it's still a market that I don't really mess around in much.
Portland is difficult, man. It was tough. Portland is definitely hard. Yeah. I'll tell you that. And plus, they got certain laws there that you got to abide by regarding wholesaling and stuff like that. But that's another story for another day. All right. But most people look at, virtual investing. A lot of people want to get started in virtual investing. What did it take for you to have that mindset shift to go from local investing to virtual?
Because I did it by accident. I got a deal that was in a Portland group, but somebody was responding from out of state, and I ran the comps. There's different tools out there, PropStream, or just looking at recently sold on Zillow, and you can really get a good idea. That tells a good story right there. But I was able to quickly find some comps. I'm like, dang, this is a good deal. Like, I just need to find buyers. So I started using groups, real estate investing groups, to find my cash buyers. There's cash buyer groups out there. So not only did I use groups to find the seller, I also used groups to find the end buyer and do both ends of the deal. And I was able to make it happen. And that's when I was like, man, chains are off.
Mm.
I can go anywhere. I don't have to be tied down to this market. I can go where it's good. Just because this is my backyard doesn't mean that it's any easier.
That's right, man.
And that was a game changer for me.
You know, years ago, we're talking when Facebook really started gaining some traction. So we're talking like 2008-ish, 2009. And I created this training on how to create Facebook groups or go into other Facebook groups to start building a cash buyers list if you're wholesaling houses. That segued into back in 2014 when I moved to North Carolina from Pennsylvania. The first thing I did was establish myself as an authority figure by setting up my own Facebook group. Now we have several thousand people in that group, but it allows me to post deals. It allows me to find cash buyers. It allows me to get deals within the group. And I can do real estate directly within that particular group while being the authority figure within the group because I started the group. So if you're brand new in real estate right now and you really don't know what you're doing, you could simply set up a Facebook group and instantly make yourself an authority figure, even if you don't have all the answers right now. But you could gain some traction, build up a buyer's list, maybe look at other wholesalers' deals, joint venture on those deals while you're growing a group and being able to really start doing some deals in any market that you step into. I would start, maybe in your own backyard, but then start branching out. Don't condense yourself to your own market. You can really go anywhere. And that's what Kyle is going to talk about in just a couple of minutes. So what obstacles did you face while going virtual, man?
The biggest part is just not understanding the markets, not understanding where the bad part of town is, where the good part of town is, how a neighborhood right next to another neighborhood, this one could be really good, and the one right next to it is terrible. Mm-hmm. And it just flood zones is another thing, not knowing about flood zones. And, there's just things that you don't know if you're not in that market or having people to go and take pictures for you. But I realize that the way around that is to really find somebody that can be your trusted advisor, a trusted buyer, cash buyer, or a trusted agent, investor-friendly agent that can be your local expert to give you insight on deals and boots on the ground. There's so many different ways to find boots on the ground. You can use contractors, pay them to go give you, to run over there, give them a quote. You can pay a photographer to run over there. You can use TaskRabbit or Craigslist to pay somebody to run over to the house, put a lockbox on it. So there's ways to get boots, but I started to figure out that most of the time you don't even need boots. You don't need boots on the ground. Your seller can be the one to provide you with photos and videos, and your end buyer, your buying partner, can be your face, the one that goes and meets the seller, especially if you're working with somebody that you trust and you did business with before. There's been so many times where I've marketed properties without photos. I just used a Google Street image too. Yep. And just pushed it out. People, they don't care. They're going to go see the house anyways. They need to go drive over and go check it out.
I'll tell you this, man.
I'll
tell you this. I run my entire business virtually. We don't even go see houses anymore. We simply make offers over the phone. The seller, like you said, they send us photos. 9 times out of 10, I don't ever see a house, but I'm just receiving a check on that property. A lot of times the buyers are just making us offers simply because the seller put a lockbox on a house. The buyer goes and looks at the house. Doesn't matter where it's located. And we just make the deal, man. You don't have to do this locally. You can do it virtually all day long. Am I right?
Yeah, 100%. Because the thing is people are scared to lose that rapport. Oh, if I don't meet them and shake their hand, I'm going to lose rapport. I mean, it's 2021. People are getting more used to doing things virtually, for one.
Yep.
And for two, the points that you gain in rapport by meeting them face to face does not outweigh the time wasted.
Yep.
Because if you're basing it off of volume, if you're running around town, going looking at properties and meeting with sellers, half your week's burnt. Imagine how many offers you could have made in that same amount of time.
That's right. That's right, man. So why don't we provide our listeners with a 3 to 5 step process to get started if they're brand new right now in their local market, but they want to do things virtually. Why don't we provide them with a step-by-step process on what to do?
Yeah, absolutely. So the biggest thing is to start to get your team. So you need cash buyers on your side. You need people that can be your trusted advisor and give you insight on certain neighborhoods. Even before you lock a property down, and you don't have to be scared of them stealing it. You don't even have to give them the address. Just say, hey, how is this neighborhood over here? These are the comps that I pulled. Are these good numbers? Would you say that these are good numbers for this neighborhood? To be able to tell you yes or no. Find a local agent that can help give you insight and feed them leads. If you have a property that doesn't make sense as a wholesaler, as a flip or anything like that, you can give them those leads, and you're feeding them something valuable, so they're going to want to help you out. You help them out. But you have to build your team, and after building your team of people that you can trust and get insight on, then you have to have the lead flow. Lead flow is key. You can use Facebook groups, you can do cold calling, you could do text blasts, whatever you want to do. But I'll tell you what, Facebook groups is fire. That's something you can just go into local groups, type in your city name, and just look at the different groups that pop up. Local groups, bulletin board groups, cell groups, stuff like that. Those are good groups. And you think of these as digital bandit signs that you can put up. And the cool thing is after you get that process done, you want to make it a little bit more hands-off. So you want to find digital bird dogs that can use their own Facebook accounts to post in groups on your behalf and have conversations with the seller, weed out the tire kickers, find the serious sellers, and then have them booking calls in with you. So because I come from commission-based sales and I would build teams for DirecTV, I just simply took that philosophy, brought it over to the real estate game, to where I'm building commission-based teams and bird dog teams to use their own accounts to post in groups. Man, that's fire, because you get to keep your costs down. You don't pay them until you get paid. And now you're able to take a little bit more of a hands-off approach. Next, you're going to want to find a virtual assistant that you can start to delegate tasks to. Because the thing is, a lot of us go into business for ourselves so that we don't have to have a low-paying job. But then we give ourselves low-paying jobs within our own business. If you're doing a task that's only worth $5 an hour, you're losing your company money, because you need to be focused on tasks that are high leverage that make $1,000 an hour, like making more offers, right? Building cash buyers lists, skip tracing, pulling lists off of PropStream, doing your text message campaigns, doing your marketing, blasting your cash buyers. This is all stuff that drags you down and takes your time. And you can find somebody over in the Philippines or India or Africa or any of these other countries where the dollar stretches very far. And $5 an hour, they'll be thrilled to work for that. That's more than they can make locally, so they'll work hard for it. And then you're able to start to build systems around that. And that's important too. Standard operating procedures, SOPs. You want to build systems that are step-by-step copy and paste. That way you can get things off your plate and train your team with those and keep everything processed.
That's right, man. Some of the most successful people who run the most successful businesses, what the first thing is that they do when they buy a business? They go out and find a good CEO. That's what they do. Somebody who can run the business for them. So, don't be afraid to take on partners as well, guys. Somebody who can operate the business a little better than you can until you get the hang of it. The key is to make money off of the business without your own personal efforts. And the way to do that is to hire or partner with other people. So like Kyle is saying, go ahead, build your team out. Start with your buyers. Start finding leads. Use Facebook groups to be able to do that. Build out a virtual assistant staff that can that you can delegate work to. If you're looking for a team of virtual assistants, acquisitions, and things like that, I have a company. It's called thecontracthunters.com. Check it out. Go to thecontracthunters.com. We handle everything from A to Z for you, from getting the leads to contracting the deals and passing it off for dispositions for you to be able to take care of that. Right? These are different things that you can check into. Use PropStream. There's a link in the description box for you for that as well. All of these tools will allow you to run a virtual real estate investing business. and primarily Facebook groups. So like Kyle was saying, you can use Facebook groups to build a buyer's list. You can use Facebook groups to find deals. And all you're really doing is putting two and two together to create income for your real estate investing business. Is that about right?
100%. And then once you get to that point to where you're leveraging OPW, you're leveraging other people's work, you can live like you're semi-retired. Man, I'll go down here and spend time with the kids and the wife, and I'll spend all day long at the beach. And I'll just get notifications on my phone from DocuSign saying that there's contracts tied up.
You know,
it's funny. I don't
even
do anything from there. My team takes it, passes it to disposition, and then disposition department handles the rest. So I just get to watch and orchestrate as this stuff takes place.
I love it because, you know, that's one of my favorite sayings, man. You're like the second person besides myself who I've heard mention the word semi-retired. I've been doing that. I've been semi-retired since I was 30 years old. I'm 40 right now. And you literally work when you want to work. You're literally just overseeing, operating your business and able to do whatever you want to do. You're traveling right now. You know, I like to stay home and do pretty much nothing all day besides work out. I'm a huge gym rat, but I have my own gym in my house. You know, things like that. We're not here to work for our entire lives, right? We want to be able to enjoy our time with our family. And that's where the time, the freedom, and the family part comes into play when it comes to real estate investing in general, man. So I love the fact that you have a ton of free time, able to share this experience with your kids, with your wife, and able to really create the lifestyle that you want for your family and yourself, man, and others. Anybody listening to this can do the same exact thing, man. You just got to be willing to put in a little bit of work, get a little bit of know-how on how to do it. And you can, you know, just put in a little bit of time, a little bit of consistency, and you'll be able to do this as well. It's not hard. It's just having a clear understanding. Kyle said he started off on YouTube University, but he, more importantly, had somebody show him how to do it, and he applied. And that's where the real success is going to come. So listen, Kyle, if you had to provide our listeners with a way to get started, a way to contact you in general, where should they go to reach out to you? I know you have a Facebook group, but where do you want to direct everybody?
Man, that's the best place, is because I'm all about giving. Man, I don't want to sell anybody on anything. I got stuff that I have for free, just like you. You know, give, and it comes back to you. So in my Facebook group, you can get a full-on education in there. I had Jamel in there. I have experts on a weekly basis coming in, teaching different aspects of real estate investing. I teach stuff in there as well. I have giveaways and mini courses that I have. So you can get a full-on education inside my Facebook group. And that group is called Group Marketing Real Estate Investing Leads. And I know it's a long name, but you know exactly what it is we do. Group Marketing Real Estate Investing Leads. And if you search for that on Facebook, you put that in your search bar, you'll see it. It'll pop right up, and you can join that group and join our community. We've got 6,600 real estate investors in there, and you can get insight not just from me, but from other heavy hitters in the industry.
That's right. And I'm going to be sure to link that in the description box of the podcast and the show notes as well. So be sure to check it out. And obviously, if you join, you'll be able to butt heads with Kyle and everybody else in the real estate industry who's killing it right now, virtually in their marketing. Not necessarily butt heads, but collaborate. That's probably a better word to use besides butt heads. But listen, man.
Yeah.
Are you reading any books right now?
Yeah. So I'm reading a book called Titan, and Titan is a book about John D. Rockefeller. This is the guy that founded Standard Oil. Standard Oil eventually got broken up and became Chevron and Shell and BP and a bunch of these other big companies. And he also helped found General Electric. So this is one of the most successful titans, entrepreneur titans of our time. And it's written in a way to where it's like, it's almost like a novel. It's written like a novel. So it's fun to read. You know, and you're able to learn what this guy did, the way he thought, the way that he approached life and business in order to get that successful.
You know, I see the most successful people that I know read books about the most successful people who ever lived, man. So that's why I asked that question, and I see a lot of similarities in the types of books or the books that people read or recommend. It's almost always the same types of books, man. So I appreciate you sharing. I'm going to be sure to link that in the description of the podcast as well, man. So if you had to provide our listeners with any last words to get started, to change their life, to create that time and freedom, what would those words be?
Man, you got to figure out how to collapse time, collapse the learning curve. Because the thing is if you're trying to go by trial and error and just do it by brute force, it's going to take you years, if not decades. If you want to shortcut those decades, find the people that have already put the decades in, find a mentor, find somebody that's going to show you the way, show you the path. That way you can just dive right into a working model and plug that in and run with it.
Perfect, man. Listen, I would love to have you back on another podcast in the near future. If you guys want to see Kyle back to hear some other insight on other aspects of his business, be sure to leave a comment in the comment section. Make sure you share this podcast with your family and friends who want to get started in the real estate business. Also like this video, this podcast. Also make sure you subscribe to my channel if you're not already. If you're on YouTube, make sure you share this podcast with other people across the entire nation. There's people in all countries listening to this podcast at this point. It's really doing well. I appreciate the support from you guys. And I'm looking forward to continuing to provide you with that business and investing education that you guys need in order to go from where you are to where you want to go as business owners and real estate investors in general. Looking forward to seeing you guys on the next one. Peace.